Hey everybody, Liz here. This is my husband Dave. We're going to be talking to you guys about nutrition and supplements today, and we're really going to focus on a few different things. So Dave is the really good expert at this, and I'm going to give a little bit of the mom insight to it. But we're going to be talking about lifelong vitality, Mito2max, deep blue complex, and honestly my very favorite, which is Terrazymes. So hopefully you guys can get a few nuggets out of this today as we talk about the ins and outs of why we use supplements and what the purpose behind it is. So take it away.
All right, so like Liz said, I'm Dave, and our health and wellness a lot of times is based on the foundation of who we are, just like a building or a structure. If you don't have a good base of that structure, it doesn't matter how good the windows are, doesn't matter how good the paint is or the siding or the roof. If the foundation of that structure is not solid, it doesn't really matter, right? So there are a lot of issues that we have, whether it's sleep, digestion, sometimes even emotional issues that could be based on the foundation of who we are and how our body digests food, processes things, and that's why something like nutrition is very critical in our health and our overall well-being. And that's why doTERRA has created these amazing products. First one I want to talk about is the Lifelong Vitality Pack. So it comes in a box like this, so if you order it, I didn't want to just hold up the individual bottles and you not recognize what it comes in, but it comes in this box. And doTERRA created this as a box, as a package like this, because it is something that, as a whole, everybody needs. It's formulated based on the individual countries, on what their overall type of diets and deficiencies are. And so depending on where you're at, it'll be formulated slightly different. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the 3 different products in this, why they work, what they do, and we're going to make it very simple. We're not going to get all scientific-y and using big, complex words, because then nobody understands anything, and I won't even understand what it is that I'm saying. Okay, so first off, why don't you tell them why you love Lifelong Vitality Pack?
Okay, so I could tell you story after story, but I won't. I'll tell you personally why I started using Lifelong Vitality. I had done a lot of research on different supplements. I had just had my 4th child, and I was getting a lot of headaches and a lot of fatigue, energy issues, and I went to the health food store and spent a lot of money and a lot of time researching what supplements would work to help get my levels back up where they needed to be so I could take care of my family. And then I actually discovered that doTERRA had supplements. I didn't know they did. And when I started taking them, I don't know if it's because I was taking other supplements first and I switched to something that was a better quality, I felt a huge difference in my energy level, my headaches, my overall balance of like sleep versus when I needed to be on for my children and taking care of them really just, excuse me, it really just helped balance that part out of what I needed. And so it gave me that foundation to go off of, like Dave said.
Yeah, so for me as well, I just want to quickly share. For me, Liz became introduced to doTERRA because of the oils, and they helped her with her needs. For me, it was the vitamins, the Lifelong Vitality Pack that changed my life. I really enjoy fitness, and in my fitness, a lot of it is you're tracking your progress. You're tracking how it is you're doing, not just about like how you look. And I noticed after I started taking them within 30 to 60 days, a lot of my measurements that I do, of progress, time, and doing things had increased significantly. And the only thing I had done different was begin taking these. And so that really made me fascinated and made me want to learn why, exactly what's in them and why they're effective. So the first one I want to talk about is the Zeo Omega. So this is an omega-3, they're omega-3, 6, and 9s in it. But a lot of times people will go to like Costco and they'll buy their omega-3s or their omegas. Usually they just call them like their omega blends. The problem with those are a lot of our diet is very low in omega-3s and disproportionately high in omega-6 and 9s. And so when you go to the, Costco or whatever, and you're buying those types of vitamins or those types of omegas, you already have a lot of the 6 and 9s in your diet, and you're not getting the high quality omega-3s that your body needs. So what omega-3s do is they actually help almost like almost it helps with inflammation in the body. It helps with inflammation in the brain. It helps with the brain function. I know a lot of people, like Liz said, it helps her with their headaches. A lot of people experience a lot more clarity, less brain fog, right? And that's partially because the body is now firing on all cylinders, you know, in a way of speaking.
I definitely had brain fog before I started taking it. That was actually, now that you say that, was one of the main reasons, and I don't know if it was because I was coming off having another child or what, but the brain fog was a serious issue for me, and it really did help. So that's definitely something that I definitely felt.
Yeah, the other great thing is this is not just marine based, this is also plant based. So what doTERRA did is they did a lot of research and realized, you know, the marine based is fantastic, but if you add in plant based as well, it helps with so many additional things like your ocular health, you know, as far, you know, your vision, that type of thing. And so they really added a lot of extra things to it to make sure that synergistically our body is getting everything that it needs, instead of just saying, you know what, here's an omega-3, you know, we're able to say it's an omega-3, check that box. No, they really went out of their way. And if you look at this, it actually has, so in omega-3s, the EPA and the DHA are the most relevant things that our body needs to get from the omega-3s. And so in one serving of this, you get 600 milligrams of those combined. And so that's a really good. So some people also, I'll address the fact that I am like almost 200 pounds and she is like 110 pounds, right? So some people look at it and say, well, how is it that she can take the same thing that I can, you know, same thing as me? So there are instances if somebody is bigger like myself, I may take more of these than she does, right? So you're able to do that. You're able to add on additional bottles, those types of things. I personally haven't felt the need. But lastly, what I want to say about this, so I don't go on forever, is this is the only omega-3 that I've ever been able to take that I do not burp up.
Yeah, me
which
too.
Sounds terrible.
Sounds gross. But
people talk about you should be able to freeze them, stick them in your freezer. That helps.
No. Only take them at night. So
only,
you don't, no.
Every way, which way. I remember before taking these, I would take omega-3s. And I would be like, okay, I got to take them at night before bed. I would take them. And if I waited too long, if I had to help with my kids, I had to do a few things and then get into bed. By the time I went into bed, I would just have like this, and I would just be like, I could just taste the fish. And it was awful.
One other thing I wanted to mention about this is that there's other additional essential oils in here that really give you that balance of it. So there's frankincense, there's wild orange, there's a handful of essential oils added to this as well.
Yeah, one of the important ones, though, one of the important ones that she's leaving out is peppermint. Peppermint is a natural preservative. That's what also helps with not having that burp taste. But also, a lot of high-quality fish oils you need to keep in the fridge because they don't have preservatives. Well, peppermint acts as a natural preservative, and for that, you don't need to keep these in the fridge. Okay, all right, so next I'm going to talk about the Microplex VMZ. So VMZ is vitamins and minerals, okay? And so doTERRA, a lot of times, well, we look at things as the vitamins and minerals as if a little bit is good, a lot is better. The problem with that is our body needs to actually filter those things. Our body needs to process the things, everything that we consume. And with that, if we take an excess of vitamins, our body can't fully process that. And so what ends up happening is, I'm sure many of you have taken a vitamin in the past, and you end up going to the bathroom, you notice you pee out like a color that looks like a Mountain Dew or like a Gatorade or something wild. A lot of times we look at that and we assume, oh, our body is getting rid of toxins, extra toxins in the body. Well, the fact is, our body is actually getting rid of excess vitamins and minerals that it could not absorb. So for that reason, doTERRA actually created this based on the percentages that our body needs, so it's not megadosed, right? And that's one of the big problems with most of the vitamins and minerals out there, is that they are megadosed.
Right.
The other neat thing is doTERRA paired certain vitamins with certain minerals, and what that does is it actually increases the absorption and makes it more efficient and more effective for our bodies. And they're all whole food based, so we don't end up with any, there's no synthetic versions of any of the vitamins or anything like that in the bottle.
So the next one we're going to talk about is what?
Is the Alpha Crs Plus, which is the cellular vitality complex. The CR Plus stands for cellular recovery systems. So a lot of people experience pain, they experience inflammation, they experience fatigue, in their everyday life. Unfortunately, many people take things like ibuprofen every single day, or they need to constantly be taking pick-me-ups. They need to constantly be drinking coffee. They need to constantly be drinking like 5-hour energies or Red Bulls or whatever the case is, right? The reason is because their body is deficient in certain things, okay? Or the inflammation in the body is excessive. So what doTERRA did is they created the Alpha CRS Plus, which is basically looked at as two different pieces. There's the inflammation piece and there's the energy piece. The neat thing about the energy is this is no energy from like green tea or from any sort of stimulants at all. It's 100% based on amino acids that support our mitochondria. Our mitochondria is the powerhouse for our cells. Our cells are the building blocks of our entire body. So if we can increase the cell's ability to do its job and to function, naturally we're going to have increased energy. I remember actually talking to an older gentleman that ran a business in Albuquerque, and I had him start using the Lifelong Vitality Pack. I recommended it to him. And his wife was telling me about how much more energy he had. That during his business, he used to come home, believe it or not, I mean, he was older, and he'd have to take like a 30 to 45 minute like power nap in the middle of his day. And then I told him, I actually spoke with him afterwards. I was like, oh yeah, your wife told me, you know, that you're how much more energy. And he's like, yeah. He says, it's fantastic. He says, but I kind of missed taking my naps every day. But he doesn't need them anymore. He just does not have the need for that. And so
I love the CRS Plus for that aspect of the energy part of it. I think it's been huge for me personally.
Oh yeah, for me, if I had to only take one of these three products, if I was forced to only pick one, I would take this one. And that's just for me and for how my body works and the things that I do. And so this has a lot of great things. Like I said, it's broken up into two different windows. And the reason why I say that is because that's a good segue into what's next.
Okay.
But those three are what make up the Lifelong Vitality Pack.
Which is really, really the foundation of everything we do. So I know doTERRA is a oil company, or we say we're an oil company, right? But the supplements are a huge part of it, and Lifelong Vitality is actually doTERRA's #1 selling product, and that is why it gives us that foundation and preventative piece that a lot of us are missing. So
yeah, and the other great thing about the Lifelong Vitality Pack is doTERRA does a money-back guarantee on them. So if you take them for the full 30 days, you know, every single day as directed, and you don't experience benefits from it, you don't feel the difference from it, doTERRA says send us back the empty bottles and we will give you a full refund.
Right.
I've never had anybody do that. So one time I had somebody that thought about wanting to do it, but then when I talked to them, I realized they were only taking like a half a dose like every third day, and they kept forgetting. So at the end of 30 days, they didn't experience a difference, but they still had like 2/3 of their bottle. So that's an obvious reason. Okay, let me get into why I said it's broken into two different. That last one, the CRS Plus, is broken into two, right? So let's look at it like this. These are the two, the Deep Blue Complex and the Mito 2 Max, okay? The reason doTERRA, I'm larger than Liz. Some people might have more inflammation than others. Some people may have experienced a back injury, or their job requires more manual labor, or maybe somebody loves gardening and they're out there gardening constantly, right? That type of person is obviously going to need more support and inflammation in their body than somebody that's maybe not as active and not doing as much, right? And so for that reason, doTERRA created the Deep Blue Complex, okay? So what this is essentially, I'm going to put it simply, it's essentially like a natural, like ibuprofen, right? A natural anti-inflammatory, yeah. So it has a lot of great things. It does have frankincense in it, and I'm not going to sit here and list all the different things that are in it.
Turmeric is
in
it.
Yeah, it does. It has turmeric. And it has a lot of great things that help with inflammation on a cellular level in the body. So what a lot of people will do is they take this in the beginning, okay? They'll take this for a while, experience the benefits that they're having, and if they're feeling like they need a little bit more for the inflammation, they'll add this on, okay? I don't like to have somebody take, from day one, take everything, because then they can't experience where the benefits are coming from, or maybe what some sort of, other type of results are coming from. And so for that reason, they'll start with this and then they'll add this on.
Yep.
Do you want to say anything about that?
I'll just give you one example of a friend that I have that loves Deep Blue Complex. I love Deep Blue Complex, honestly, but she has chronic back issues. And so, yes, she takes Lifelong Vitality, but the Deep Blue Complex she uses when she feels like she's having a flare up or there's a little bit more going on that day. If she's done something the day before and her back's really bothering her the next day, Deep Blue Complex has actually been the thing she's turned to more than anything else. She used to be on pain medication, lots of ibuprofen. She's been able to move away from that and use Deep Blue Complex in its place, which is obviously a lot better and more healthy for our, for our organs and for our bodies. So, it's just been a huge help to people when it comes to that chronic pain, especially.
Yeah. Okay, so the second half of it is the Mito 2 Max. Remember when I said that it helps with the mitochondria, right? The mitochondria being the powerhouse for our cells. That's where the word mito comes from. It's mitochondria. So again, there are some people that experience more fatigue than others. There are some people that maybe do more vigorous exercises or whatever the case is, right? We all have our different...
Sorry to interrupt you, but adrenal fatigue is a huge one that Mito 2 Max can help with as well. So I think if you're feeling like you're always in that fight or flight mode, the Mito 2 Max can really come in and help support that. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. I appreciate you mentioning that. So it is an energy and stamina complex. So a lot of people don't realize the difference in those. Energy is, needing the energy to get up and go, but the stamina is the ability to continue going, right? And so I personally, what I do is I end up taking the Lifelong Vitality Pack, and then I'll add on Deep Blue Complex, and then I add on the Mito 2 Max. Yeah. Somebody recently started taking Mito 2 Max, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, who was it that was like, what is in that? I'm getting so much done."
Yeah.
Do you want to
I
tell
don't remember who that was. I actually have another story though I want to tell you about Mito 2 Max. I have another friend who struggles with attention deficit ADD as an adult, and I recommended taking Mito 2 Max for her, which sounds kind of funny because it's it can give you more energy, but in her case she was using it because her body really needed the adrenal support. She was so much on the energy level was so high that her adrenals were so fatigued that support from the Mito 2 Max really gave her the boost to actually have her body calm down when it needed. Funny enough, I noticed this with her, and I started doing it with our 10-year-old son who has a lot of these same hiccups. And I give him a Mito 2 Max, one Mito 2 Max every single morning, along with a couple other supplements, Adaptive, Copaiba, which we're not going to talk about today, but I give these to him every day because he is one of those type of people that just needs to bring his energy a little bit where it's more balanced. And I know that sounds a little bit opposite of what Dave's saying, but when your body is producing and using that backup battery, your adrenals, we need to be able to support it with the Mito 2 Max because that helps rebuild it.
Yeah, it helps with that fight or flight, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, if understanding that fight or flight mentality, and it helps balance that, and so that's why.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about Terrazymes next.
Okay, Terrazymes.
This is my favorite one, guys.
So these are fantastic. Terrazymes obviously are like a digestive enzyme. That's where it's coming from. It's plant-based enzymes, and so there are a lot of I'm not going to sit here and list all of the different things that are in there, but there is a specific plant-based enzyme that's paired specifically for helping break down fat, one for help break down sugar, help break down protein, whatever the case is, right? What's great about this is a lot of times people think of enzymes, at least I did originally, as, okay, I'm going to eat something that's bad, or I'm going to eat something and I'm going to take this thing and it's going to help push it through my body so I don't absorb as much fat from it, right? Well, what I actually learned is that a lot of times we end up consuming food that has great vitamins and minerals and nutrients that our body needs, but because our body is a little bit deficient in the enzymes or the processed foods or the other things in our environment that contribute to our bodies or contribute in a negative way to our bodies, we're not fully absorbing all of those macronutrients that exist within, micronutrients that exist within the things that we eat. And so that's what this does. This helps actually completely break it down, so then our body could actually absorb all of the vitamins and the minerals and things like that that exists in the food that we eat. Do you want to add something to it? I can see that you want to say something.
I know. I had a lot to say about Terrazymes. I won't tell them all because I know that we do sometimes go into great depths on Terrazymes, and there's a lot of really great information out there. I've helped quite a few people, honestly, using Terrazymes for different reasons. So a couple of them that I wanted to mention is when you're having a skin issue. So talk about acne with teenagers, acne with adults, rosacea, which is, that coloring of the skin. Eczema is a big one that I've seen in people, even like warts, crazy stuff, right? Skin is a huge organ. It's the biggest organ in our body.
It's actually the last place our body filters everything out.
Yeah. So what happens is a lot of times that starts with our gut. Okay. Terrazymes really help with the gut. And for me personally, Terrazymes has been a huge help when it comes to my gut. But I'll get to that in a second. What I wanted to say first about the pushing out of whatever's going on in our gut to our skin, and it can show itself in a lot of these different ways. The Terrazymes can go in if you take them actually in a large amount, and it helps to take them at night when your body has time to process them all night. It can go in and actually find other things in your body that needs to be eaten, as silly as that sounds, as gross as that sounds, and helps process them and push them out of your body. So I'll give you an example. My son, who's 13, has acne, and Terrazymes on a large dose, so I usually have him take at least 4 at a time, and I'll have him take them at night, really help keep his skin clear. Now, of course, he's a teenager, and I can't control what he's eating and all of that as much as I would like to, and so milk and dairy, all these dairy products and sugar, yes, he needs to avoid some of those, but taking Terrazymes really helps process what he's eating and what his body is producing. So there's an example of it for the skin. And I mean, honestly, a lot of people, the first thing, if people come to me and say, my child has eczema or I have eczema, Terrazymes is the first thing that I usually recommend for them. So there's that. For me, with Terrazymes, this is how it's helped me. I have dealt my entire life with stomach upset, and I never could nail it down, and neither could anybody else until I started really clearing up the inflammation. And what I think it truly was I ate a lot of sugar as a kid, and I ate a lot of dairy as a kid, and my body didn't like it. And so I had a lot of excess inflammation going on in my gut that then was causing me, some of these issues like fatigue, headaches, stomach upset. Terrazymes have really helped get my stomach under control because it's gone in, helped process out and get rid of a lot of the inflammation that was going on in my gut. Now, this isn't an overnight thing. This has taken a little bit of time, and now the more I take Terrazymes, the more my body is regulated and the balanced my body is. So it's been a huge help, honestly, to me. I love Terrazymes. We don't have a household without them because
we can't go to dinner without them. We can't do anything without them. They're just something that, like, with a meal, if I remember before, I take 1 or 2, and if I forget, I take 1 or 2 after. It's just something that definitely has a benefit. And lastly, what I want to say is I had a buddy that had his gallbladder removed, and he was not able to eat a lot of things anymore because of that. But adding the Terrazymes into his diet, he was able to go out and eat pizza with his girls. He could go out and do things that he couldn't do without suffering immensely.
Right.
And then the other thing is, a lot of people, I feel like, are diagnosed with like celiac disease or something like that, and it like comes out of nowhere. And I think what ends up happening more than anything is their body has a buildup of all this extra stuff, and the inflammation has hit like an overload point. Celiac is being allergic to like a wheat or something like that. Well, if you're an allergic, you would think you'd be allergic, not just overnight, all of a sudden you develop an allergy. Well, a lot of times it's the inflammation that's just kind of hit a tipping point, and that's what Terrazymes does. I'll joke. I had a friend who was like, "Oh, it's my birthday. I'm gonna go eat my whole birthday cake, but I'm gonna make sure I take my Terrazymes a lot." You know, she noticed it didn't help her, or helped her to not feel so like bloated, and made her feel better even after making maybe some poor diet choices.
Yeah. Okay, so just to like summarize here, honestly, I gotta say, and we just said we won't ever run out of Terrazymes, and you know why? Is because, I mean, this was actually just a few months ago. For some reason, I had gotten off on my shipment, and we didn't have our supplements for what? It was like 7 days or so. Like I noticed we ran out, and I was like, holy cow, why didn't our box come? Figured it out, got our supplements, but within that 7 days, I remember saying to you, like on day 5, not really realizing, and I was like, man, I just feel off. I just feel like I'm not myself right now. And I honestly truly believe it was because I didn't have that extra nutrition, that extra supplement need that my body was really lacking, because we had run out of them and not had them for a few days. And I mean, it's just been night and day difference for us.
Yeah, again, that's what got me really hooked on all of doTERRA and having a good belief, because I felt the difference. Right. So hopefully you guys understood all of this. Hopefully we kept it simple. We didn't use big fancy words that we don't even know what they mean either, but you know, could have used just to sound fancy. We try to keep this common conversation, common lingo that hopefully will encourage you to, if you're not already taking them, try them, do at least the 30-day what do they call it? 30-day challenge, I guess we can call it. You could challenge, you know, look at it as like you're able to sample them for 30 days. Right. And I believe you'll actually have some great benefits from it.
Yep, totally. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.